are?
Yep.
All right.
All right, so this afternoon we had a fire in a single-family story. The first two companies that usually respond here were out on 8 calls, and so it took further companies, took about 7 minutes before the first units got on scene. They had a problem with the water when they got here, and so as you can see, we laid what we call in tandem further out to find a hydrant that works. Right now, here's what we know. We know that this house here is destroyed. We did have an exposure fire that went into the house. They knocked that down. That fire's out. You saw the trees catch on fire. We have one firefighter who was sent to the hospital for some burns, and I understand that there may have been some pets inside the house. That's what we know right now.
How significant are the burns to the firefighter?
I haven't heard that yet, so we will wait and see. He was transported by a medic unit. He'll go up there. Doctors will take a look at him, make that determination.
Can you describe the nature of the problems with the fire hydrants when the crews first arrived on the scene?
Well, again, for us, what we do is we turn the hydrant on. If you don't get water, we go to the next hydrant. What also happened is they didn't have enough pressure, so the next gen companies went further out. That's why this is a multiple alarm instead of a full response. The next companies still had poor water pressure, so the next companies came in. They took a hydrant further away. They then pumped into that company, who then upped the pressure and the volume of water. You have to do both at the same time. That sent it to the next company. Finally got here. You know, they've been on the radio, saying, "Hey, up the pressure, lower the pressure," to get the pressure so that they can manage hand lines.
What kind of investigation will ensue to find out what was the problem with the hydrants?
Well, again, water department is here. They've upped the pressure also. What happens is that they'll take a look and see where these hydrants were. I can't answer as to what happened. We have plans in place, what we call long lays. We have plans in place for if you don't have a hydrant, they're trained to just keep going until we find them. They also carry 500 gallons of water on them. But again, the first company on scene was a ladder company. It does not carry water. It carries that. So there are a lot of things going on here.
How unusual is this kind of problem?
Well, fairly unusual. I mean, used to be in the city, we had what we called long lays, and you knew exactly where they were, Perkins Lane, places like that. That is not the case in the city now. There's lots of water throughout the whole city. Anytime you see those blue dots on the street, it tells you there's water. So when you're driving around and look for a blue dot, they'll tell you got water. So this is unusual, but it does happen, and you have to remember that when it's going to happen, it's probably when you need it the most, and that's why we carry the hose, and we can do other things just to be prepared for that.
You said it was multiple alarms, 2, 3?
There's a 2-alarm fire, and the 2-alarm again was for the companies. One is hot. We want to make sure we keep everybody hydrated. 2, because of the long lays, you need additional companies to be able to do that. Incident commander just ask for companies. We have plans in place to decide whether it's a multiple or not.
One of the neighbors said he believed it started on the deck, and the backyard deck, and spread to the house. Can you? We
will not try to guess where the fire started. Marshal 5, once we get it knocked down, will come in and make a determination as to where the fire started, what the cause of the fire was, and then we'll report that to you.
And you may have mentioned this. Was there any damage to the house directly north?
There was an exposure fire. They went in, they put that out, and then you had the trees also.
Did having to wait for the water pressure to come up and down, did that affect how quickly you could take care of this fire?
Well, it obviously had an impact. There were a number of things, remember, that impacted this fire. Number one was the fact that the 2 first-in companies were on first aid calls. And so that means that you have to get the next companies in to do that. And so that's a delay. You don't get water in the first company. Here's a truck company. That's a delay. They take a hydrant. They don't get water. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to use up all your 500 gallons of water, because if somebody's in the house on that line, they'll lose water. So that's why you're trying to make things happen and understand what you have going on. So there were some things that happened. We put into place what we do when things don't work and just keep moving, and that's what you see right now.